What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be about the Season 6 long-range meta, focused on automatic weapons mostly, but I think this is going to be one of the best videos I've ever made because I've got some new data to show you guys that I've never had before, and I'm pretty excited about it. So without any further ado, let's jump into it, and we will talk about the Season 6 long-range meta. So, what is this new data that I'm talking about? Well, as you guys know, recently I added this true TTK simulation tool, which I think is one of the best, if not the best, tools I've ever built for TGD. I would definitely recommend going and watching my dedicated video to that. This can help you find your meta better than maybe even MetaGen. Like, if you use it in combination with MetaGen, like I show in that video, it's going to give you guys the best results of anything you can do to find your true meta for what you should be using for long range. So anyway, what this does is it basically simulates with your selected weapons and an accuracy that you test yourself. It simulates a true TTK across all distances from 0 up to 100 meters. And then recently, I haven't made a video about this yet, but we've added the engagement probability by distance, and this basically weights the TTK based on that curve that you see there for all those ranges across the distance. So we'll show you how this works now. So I've got the Geist and the FR Advancer on here, just two randomly picked guns so you guys could see how this worked. With the Geist, I'm probably around 50% accurate. With the Advancer, I'm probably like 40%. Total guesses there. But then I'm going to press simulate. It's going to run the simulation, and then it spits out this chart, which is a true TTK simulation using those accuracies at about 60 meters. So that's what the video, you need to go watch the video dedicated to this new feature if you want to actually use it, because it will really help you understand how to use it. But that's the accuracy at a specific distance that you test yourself in the firing range. So you need to actually get that number for yourself to know your true meta. But anyway, you can see it simulates this out all the way out to the end. So you can see at 100 meters, the TTK for these two weapons at 50% accuracy and 40% accuracy at 60 meters is estimated to be like 7 seconds. So obviously you can't shoot for 7 seconds at those distances. So you'll run out of bullets before you can even do that. But that's not the point. The point is to show you how the TTK varies across important ranges. And then you can scroll down here and use this tool to basically weight this TTK chart at all distances. So this is the default setup with an average of 35 meters. So that's saying your average engagement is around 35 meters with these weapons. And then you can see like basically the probability of an engagement is how high on the y-axis this curve is at all points. So you can change this up. If you think most of your engagements are right around 35 meters, you can reduce the standard deviation and make this a much skinnier graph that focuses more around 35 meters. And then you can recalculate this, and it will show you the weighted time to kill of all the points through this whole graph. So this is going to be basically the vast majority of the weighting is going to be from 14 up to about 60, with the most important being right at 35, right at your mean value. So this is really cool because it allows you to, one, get real type TTKs for all the weapons that you want to test, and then two, you can use this to weight across where you think your engagements happen. If you think your engagements happen way further than that, 55 meters, you can slide the mean up there, calculate again, you're going to get completely different numbers based on these time to kills weighted with this probability curve. So I think it's super cool. But what I'm going to do in this video is I've been recording the accuracies that everyone's been entering. So I actually have a huge database full of the accuracies that people have been doing from their own tests. So I can give you guys the true average meta for TGD users now. I can look at those percentages, I can average them out across the thousands of trials that people have done using this tool, and I can give you guys the average user's meta, like nearly 100%, which I think is super cool. So let's go look at that. All right, so looking at the accuracies, this is, like I said, everyone who's used that tool since it was released. I've been recording those accuracies and I've compiled them into averages. So this is the resultant accuracy chart here for the different weapons that people have used it for, and then you have the count of number of entries. So some weapons only have, like M13C only has 84 people that have put an accuracy in, which is still a pretty good number, but it's not going to be as accurate as ones that have, 1,500 people have put in M13B accuracies with their builds. So this is not perfect. Again, none of this is ever perfect because we don't actually have the back-end data from the game, but every single tool I build just kind of gets us closer and closer and closer to really finding the true meta with MetaGen and then these accuracies. So let's sort this real quick by accuracy. So I'll put this over here, and then I will sort from high to low or low to high. So right off the bat, you can see that the Chimera is the least accurate followed by the M13C, surprisingly followed by the RPK with up to 500 trials. So this is one of those guns that people think they're accurate with, but they're really not. Like, it starts going all over the place after the first 10 shots or so, and at 50, 60 meters, you need more than 10 shots to kill somebody because you're going to miss those bullets. Then looking at the most accurate, as I would have expected for sure, TAC 56 was the most accurate. I thought ISO potentially could take that, but I knew these would be the top two. So we've got TAC 56, ISO, Razorback, M13, Castov 545, Castov 762, TAC V, FR Advancer are the top 8 or so. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the MetaGen build from these top 8, plug in these accuracies, and then simply run my probability weighted TTK for where I think the most engagements happen and see how it comes out. All right, so like I said, we're going to take probably like the top 10 accuracy weapons, because accuracy tends to be the most important thing at range. And then we are going to put those all in one of the same charts using the MetaGen builds, the default MetaGen output for the top builds, and that gives them the damage range, the bullet velocity, things like that. That's the reason we're using full builds rather than just the base weapons. So we're going to add some of these in here. So TAC 56, Castov 545, Tempest Razorback, Geist, RAPP H. You can simply just click the little plus to add these if you guys didn't know that. So this is MetaGen. If you guys don't know what this is basically a very advanced algorithmic tool that looks at all the attachments in the game, all the weapons in the game, and spits out the best meta. And you can weight different things how you want to weight them. So I'm sure most of you know what this is, but I just wanted to, for anyone who's new here who hasn't seen that, I wanted to add that in there just so they're aware of it. We're going to add the Advancer, the Hemlock. Let's see, what else was some of the top accuracies? Castov 762. Did I already add that? I don't think so. It got nerfed pretty hard, so yeah, it's down here. And then, let's see, M13B. We'll add that as well. So we got 9 of 9. Just make sure I didn't do any doubles here. TAC 56, Castov, Razorback, Geist, RAPP, Advancer, Hemlock, 762, M13B. So that should be pretty dang good. So now we're going to come down here to the simulation tool, turn that bad boy on, and then we're going to plug in the accuracies. So these are the community accuracies for TGD users, 49.6 for the TAC 56. The Castov 545 was 43.6. Razorback was 45.1. Geist was... So I somehow missed the Geist in that first accuracy demo that I gave, but I've gone back and gotten it now. It was 42.6, exactly the same as the TAC V. RAPP H was all the way down at 36.6. People have a very hard time controlling the RAPP H. FR Advancer, 42.4. ISO Hemlock, we've got 48.7. Castov 762 is 43.1, and then M13B was 44.4. So we're going to do 300 health, TTK, and then we are going to just simulate this, including bullet travel time. So now we've got this very hard to read graph. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to add this probability. So if we look at the important zone, though, let's change this to like, let's do like 20 meters to 60 meters. That's probably the most important range there. So you can see right off the bat, something seems to be standing out a little bit, and that is the M13B. So if I toggle the M13B on here, you can see that it looks like it was pretty much the king there in that first range. But let's look at the actual engagement probability by distance output. So if we look at this with the default 35 meter mean and then 20 standard deviation, we have M13B wins by 1 millisecond over the TAC 56. And then the Geist is in third at 1777, so a pretty big jump there, about 80 milliseconds. And these are using current Season 6 data, so I updated this on the 11th, I believe, or the 12th. I think it was the next day, so I think I updated on the 12th to the most up-to-date data. So RAPP H was in fourth at 1795, followed by the ISO Hemlock, Advancer, Tempest Razorback, Castov 762, Castov 545 in last. So, I mean, right off the bat, we see that the top three are going to be the M13B, TAC 56, and then the Geist. And then, really, to know for sure, you need to do this test yourself. You need to go watch this video right here, where it's from probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago now. If you use this in combination with the engagement probability by distance and your own percentages, you're going to immediately know what weapon you should be using pretty much. That's what's so cool about this. It takes into account hitting different shot locations, takes into account your accuracy, takes into account the bullet velocity of your build. It just looks at everything. So if you start with the MetaGen builds, run your accuracy tests, plug them into this, you're going to know your true meta. But it's looking like for the average TGD user, the meta is still M13B, TAC-56, and the Geist. And then the RAPP H is going to be pretty solid as well if you can hit your shots. So let's make this a little... let's do like 30 meters and then standard deviation down to about 15. So this is going to be more like a, like the small map. So we've made the average engagement distance 5 meters less and a little tighter distribution. So if we recalculate now, it's still M13B in first by a little bit bigger of a margin now. And that's because accuracy becomes less important or more and more important out at longer ranges. And we have reduced the amount of long range that's in this calculation. So M13B is going to be even more dominant on the closer range maps. And that makes sense if you look at the drop-offs of the weapon. It makes sense how it would come out that way. Now, obviously, time to kill is not the only thing about the weapon. M13, TAC-56, and Geist are all three going to be, ARs. So they have fast reload compared to LMGs. They have better mobility compared to LMGs. So when you're looking at this and the RAPP is relatively close to the top, that's one thing. MetaGen takes all that into account. So MetaGen looks at reload times. It looks at mobility. It looks at every stat, whereas this is just looking at time to kill. So you still need to factor that into your decision. Just because the time to kill of the RAPP H, the weighted average came out, 4th place or whatever on this community average, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the 4th best weapon. I would say it's worse than that because it has all those other detriments where it has a slow reload, it has really bad mobility, things like that. So you still need to consider all that, but this just really helps you know a real true estimate of your actual time to kill. Another interesting note I want to make here, so a lot of people have been saying that the Kastov 762 is still the meta, and with 43.1% accuracy and its current damage numbers, it just doesn't come out very good at all. It's literally second to last out of these top, 9 weapons here, so I really don't think it's the meta. I think there was a period of time before the nerfs that it got that it was probably pretty close, but these are community average accuracies, so this isn't like my accuracy. It's not like I know I'm bad with the 762, but a lot of people claim to be really good. Well, this is your data, so I mean this is showing that at least on average most people are not very good with it, and that results in a TTK that's just not even competitive at all around that 35 meter average. So I just think that's interesting. And again, there's going to be some people that are just good at controlling Kastov's recoil, so that's why it's so important that you go do these tests yourself. You get these accuracies yourself. Just watch this video that I made about this new tool. It'll show you how to do all the tests and everything like that. Go into the firing range, do those tests, get your accuracies, plug them in, and you'll really know what you should be using. But that's enough talking about that. Let's jump into the builds I'm going to do like the top 4 weapons and the tunings, but let's jump into it. Alright, starting off with the TAC-56, I'm just going to put the tunings on the screen this time instead of talking through them all. So this was the most accurate weapon of the entire community, which is what I expected. It's just so easy to control. So this is the MetaGen build and the build that I would also recommend. I think they sync up really well. So we're going to do the Echoless 80. So the reason MetaGen picks Echoless 80 over the Harbinger D20, this is just, it has the same range, same bullet velocity, but 40 millisecond better ADS time, so that's very significant, and the recoil benefits from that other muzzle, the Harbinger, that's just 3.5%, almost nothing. So that's why MetaGen thinks this is better, and I agree. I've always used the Echoless myself. For the barrel, so we're going to put the Tundra Pro. This gives 24% range and bullet velocity, and then the 60 round mag on here as well. So like I said, I will put the tunings on the screen right now while I'm talking about this. So this is one where TAC-56 recoil is so low that we can extend that damage range. Instead of using recoil attachments, we're going to use damage range attachments. So we've got the muzzle and the barrel for damage range. And you can see it has a dramatic effect on that damage range overall. All right, on to the Geist. The Geist is a good weapon still. It's gotten some nerfs after it came out, but it has really inconsistent recoil, which makes it a little annoying to use, but it's still a very good weapon. So we're going to use the FTAC Ripper. We're going to use the 45 round magazine, and I've just discovered a bug on the website that I don't know what's causing this, but every time I select an attachment, it's taking me back to the first weapon, so we'll get that fixed. And we're going to put the TY LR8 muzzle on here. This is the horizontal recoil muzzle. It's 27% horizontal recoil. That's dramatic. That will really help tighten that recoil pattern up left to right. And then for the barrel, we are going to use the Bruin Bridle Heavy. So this is 28% range, huge range boost. And again, this is going with a barrel instead of another recoil attachment. The barrel obviously helps with the recoil, but that 28% damage range is a really big benefit. So this is going to be a pretty great build. Pick your favorite optic, obviously. The same with the TAC 56 build. But overall, definitely a top tier weapon still. I wanted to give a RAPP H build as well, just because I think this is one of the only weapons that's a little bit different than the other ones in the top 3 or 4. So RAPP H is super fast time to kill, but it's hard to use, slow reload time, and bad mobility. The first attachment we're going to put on there is the muzzle. This is very personal preference, so it does have a little bit, you can see on the recoil pattern here that it has a little bit of almost an S shape to start with. It goes a little out to the right and then back to the left. That can make you miss shots, but it also has a very high amount of recoil. So it's going to be personal preference. I think probably something that balances the two of those out is pretty good, like the Socken or the Lock Shot. MetaGen recommends the Tempest GH50 just purely because it has such a fast fire rate and so much vertical recoil. That is the one that helps with vertical recoil the most. So we're going to go with the Socken just because it kind of balances those two things out. So we've got the Socken Tread 40 on here. We're going to do the FTAC Ripper is a good option. There's also another unique underbarrel for this that I believe we have on here. Yeah, so there's BO52 grip. This is very similar to the FTAC Ripper. It just hurts your mobility a little bit more and helps with actual recoil a little bit more. So if you want to try this, it's a good option as well. I think they're both pretty solid options. I've tried them both out a bunch and really can't feel much difference one way or the other. FTAC Ripper is going to help with your aim sway a little bit more. So we're going to do FTAC Ripper, ammunition, high velocity, and then we're going to actually put on the Lockman TCG10 rear grip for the extra recoil help, just because this gun has so much recoil. So again, this is going to be harder to use. It's going to run out of ammo pretty quick, and then it has a long reload time, has bad mobility, but it has just ridiculous melty time to kills in the first 50 meters or so. So it's interesting. It's worth trying out. All right, for the M13B, this is the same build as last season. So FTAC Ripper. We've got the Echoless 80 muzzle. Same reason as before. Pretty low recoil weapon. And just the ADS penalty is not worth the tiny gain in recoil. Barrel, we're going to use the Bruin Echelon for damage range again. And then the 60 round magazine. Optics going to be personal preference. Most people run the AMOP V4. But yeah, that's just personal preference there. So this is still one of the best weapons, even after the nerfs that it's gotten in recent patches. Yeah, still one of the top weapons. All right, guys, that's it for the video. As always, the best way to support the continued development of TGD as we move into, season 6. I don't know if there's going to be a season 7. Probably not, actually, because the new game's coming out pretty soon. So Modern Warfare 3 is coming out soon. If you want to know what we've been working on, we've been making dedicated native apps for iOS and Android, and those are coming along nicely. We're going to be continuing to work on that. We've got 25 days until the new game comes out as of the time of recording this video, and we're trying to get both those apps on the app stores and fully functional by then. So that's really exciting. Those should be coming soon, so be sure to look for that. But as always, the best way to support, like I said, is just a subscription to TGD. Even if you just watch my YouTube videos, if you're someone that wants to support, that's still the best way to do it, is just a subscription. And then if you ever want the features, you have them. But yeah, I appreciate you guys a ton. Thank you for supporting TGD and helping us continue to do this, and I'll see you in the next video.